Today is Wednesday, December 4th, 2019. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is our recap of Island of the Idols, Week 11.
This episode was titled A Very Simple Plan, and that was courtesy of Dean. He got the title this week.
Yes, he did.
Boom, right to the reward family visit. No futzing around with post-tribal discussions. We're just going to go right to the good stuff, as Probst would say.
That works.
Yeah. All right, what day is it? Day 31?
Day 31.
Okay.
Was a 2-day
Yep,
week.
just 31 and 32 for this cycle.
Yep.
First up, we've got Matt, Lauren's husband. Probst hits Lauren with the question, why Matt? That seemed odd. I don't know that that's the right kind of question. Why Matt? Then to frame it that way.
She should have said, why not Matt?
Yeah, right. But her response was something to the effect of, well, he's very supportive. So there you go. And then who did we have next?
Tommy's girlfriend, Nicole. And they both cry. Aren't they cute?
Mm-hmm. Well, and he shivers. because Nicole tells us that Big Tummy has a gigantic heart.
That's what she loves about him, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least part of it.
Yeah.
Then we get Karishma's husband,
roommate.
Drew.
Oh, husband. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Stop being mean.
Karishma tells him over and over again, I am not good.
I'm not okay. I'm not good.
That's exactly what you want to hear.
Well, you could tell he was surprised. He's like, I've never seen her like this.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they've been married 4 years because he said, or they've been together 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I've never seen her like this. So I would be a little concerned if I were him and seeing, something so different.
Right. Well, he gave her the, I got you. You're good.
Yeah. Well, and she tells us that she feels so misunderstood out there. It's so wonderful to have someone who understands her. And I don't know why I feel so happy that she seems to appreciate him now. Because early on, though, I guess she could have been using that whole thing as a ruse to gain sympathy in the new tribe.
He's just a roommate thing.
Well, yeah, in the whole, I felt pressured into marrying him, whatever. But I took it as real, and so I really was happy to see that she can appreciate him for who he is and how he feels about her.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I was just happy it wasn't her dad that she actually invited her husband out. So, okay, next up we've got Noura's sister Lana, who tells us, now you and I didn't quite agree on the term there. I thought it was, Lana described her as normal. And you had what?
I don't remember.
Adorable or something? Nordorable?
Nordorable or something.
I think mine's closer.
Yours is probably closer.
Yeah. So even Lana, her sister, her younger sister.
Well, I think even her sister's wrong after this episode, so I'm not even sure she's normal.
Well, I don't think she was saying that's the whole point, though, right? She's not saying normal. She's saying a normal. So there's a different state for Noura because there's Nora's World, as Boston Rob said.
Okay.
Yep. And we get John, Janet's husband, and he's doing the granddaughter gender reveal, or that doesn't make sense when you say it that way. He's doing the gender reveal of their next grandbaby. So he comes out wearing a pink shirt to let her know.
Shirt.
And she had the presence of mind to put all that together. I'm impressed.
Yep.
Day 31.
Well, she was probably waiting to see what color shirt he had.
Yeah.
On. So I expect that's
they
why
planned
she,
it. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
sure they did.
I was thinking more like it was a surprise that he had put together.
Oh, I kind of thought she was like, well, I won't know until you get there to tell me. So make it clear. And when she saw the shirt, she probably knows he doesn't normally wear pink shirts.
Next up, we've got Lori, Dean's mom, who comes out in what Krishma tells us is a matching outfit. She's got on a leopard print dress to match his goofy underwear, I guess.
Okay. Well, did it surprise you that it was Dan's son, Ryan?
Yeah, didn't expect that.
You thought his wife would come?
Sure, yeah.
But why not give a 13-year-old the experience? But that's a long way to fly at 13. But.
Yes, it is. That could be pretty overwhelming. I wonder if he had someone with him, if they let someone bring him out, but they couldn't actually come on, or if he had to do the whole trip essentially on his own, although he was with the other loved ones, I would imagine.
Yeah, I don't know. That would be a good question.
Yep.
Okay, and Elaine's girlfriend, Tanya.
Who Elaine tells us puts up with her. It's one of her greatest appealing strengths.
That's right. She puts up with me.
Well, she was a hoot. I like she came out in her overalls.
All right, and on to the challenge. They draw to see who's paired up together. They're going to be tethered together in the water with another person, and they go under some obstacles in the sand, and then they get the bags, and the first one to make a bag stay on the stand.
Yep, on the pedestal
wins.
there. Yep.
So
we find out that Lana is actually vision impaired. She couldn't make out
that's true.
who the castaways were, so Probst invites her to come down, and he checks with the other loved ones to make sure they know she's not getting some kind of special treatment. So that was cool. I like that.
Yeah, that was nice, and it seemed to move Noura a lot. But now, did Noura try to swim, or did Dan pull her over?
She fell behind. She wasn't keeping up for some reason, and
well,
then
his legs are longer.
She started swimming in response, and Probst pointed it out and said, "Why are you swimming? You could stand up.
You can walk."
Yeah, so her swim reaction was a little delayed. She started swimming in the shallow part. But yeah, we had a little bit of the Chet Joel thing going on there with Dan pulling Noura along.
Well, and she's pretty tall, but I mean, he's just taller. His legs are longer. So. And I know from walking with you that that doesn't work really well when you have a tall person with a shorter person.
Right.
Especially someone as challenged as me, because it's like, no, we cannot exercise together.
Right.
Because I would have to jog to keep up with your walk, and you would have to crawl to...
I do have quite an altered taste when we are walking together. Yeah, it's funny.
It's like, no, we can't exercise.
I have to slow everything down. I'm like, oh, okay, here we go.
Yeah, but you
find another rhythm.
You forget. I
do sometimes.
I have to pull on your arm to remind you. Hey, my legs are not that long.
Yep.
Because you'll be like.
So.
And if we're not holding hands, you just run off and leave me. You'll be up the road. Be like, okay.
Dan and Noura start off in the lead.
Yep.
And then they run into some difficulties when they get to the first obstacle. Noura starts falling over. She took a really serious looking header. Looked like she cranked her neck there on one of them.
Yeah, that looked bad to me.
And then fell over backwards on her bum on the next one.
It didn't even look like Noura, though, in the challenge.
Right.
She's usually very good in the challenges.
Yeah, that fierce energy wasn't there for some reason. It's like she was deflated.
It's like she had no oomph. The emotion just took it right out of her and just exhausted her or something.
Probably that dig under. When they have to dig under a big post or railroad tie kind of scenario, they got to dig the sand out to get through. That tends to really wear you out.
That is a lot of work. But she was falling over the top.
Yeah.
But anyway, I hope she didn't hurt herself. But
Dean and Elaine did really well. They ended up coming out of the obstacles
They
in the
did.
lead, getting to take the first throws there.
yep, Dean and Elaine got there first and started throwing, and then Tommy and Janet showed up, and then Laura and Karishma caught up, and Dan and Noura were behind them.
Mm-hmm.
So we hold our breath as different people almost get it.
Yeah, there was some good tension. They all ended up getting some throws in, didn't they?
Yep, and then Tommy lands it. Well, actually, it just didn't fall off.
Yeah.
It didn't really sink it. It just kind of, oh no, it's stuck. He was already running to get it.
Mm-hmm.
But awesome. So Tommy and Janet wins. Jeff says, pick somebody to go with you. And now I've been wondering who really is in alliances.
Mm-hmm.
So at least we got to find that out this week.
Right.
That Janet picks Dan and then Tommy picks Lauren. And they tell us that they are in an alliance.
Mm-hmm. When they're explaining to their loved ones, they need to
Yep.
stop and have some strategy talk. Yeah. Before they got to that, though, we had some interesting comments by Karishma. She's all about the vivid, violent descriptions.
Put a wrecking ball on someone else's head.
Yeah, she's talked about slitting throats, and now she wants to smack people in the head with wrecking
Well,
balls.
she's been under the gun for some time now, so
Yeah, pretty much
she's
the whole
feeling
game.
pretty picked
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
by this point. So, I think that's just her frustration and wanting to let somebody else see what it feels like.
What did you think about Dan going to the reward now? What did you think about Dan referring to the other four that didn't earn the reward?
That bothered me. He didn't have to do that.
Say that he wasn't afraid of the weird alliance.
Well, he called them like losers or something too. I
He's-
forget
Yeah.
exactly what
Definitely
he called
referred to
them.
him as a weird alliance, yeah.
Well, even more so.
And then Elaine does a roll call and talks about how, once again, she's not afraid of Elaine as a strategist. So she didn't think Elaine was going to play that advantage or be able to do anything strategically there. You would have thought she had wised up a little bit, but it doesn't sound like it. She's still not quite willing to give her any credit. When maybe that's just to Elaine's credit in terms of her dumb
Yeah.
country folk thing that she's been running on them.
But they do know she's dangerous because she's so likable.
Mm-hmm.
But they still want to get rid of Karishma. I thought they might decide just to go ahead and keep Karishma, but Dan's actually said that.
Uh-huh.
I don't think we're quite there yet, but I'm saying it anyway. That he
Just taking me back
he
to watching
was
the
afraid,
episode with you.
He was afraid that why? What did I do?
Oh, because of who you had going this week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, he was afraid that would happen, that people would start wanting within their alliance, the others would start wanting to take Karishma instead
Exactly.
of him.
This, just so everyone's clear, it's never been about her superior gameplay. It's that they don't want anyone to get to leverage her as the GOAT, so that they get to sit by the least liked
Don't
person
think
in the game
anybody
socially.
thought it was her superior gameplay.
A lot of people I've seen
No.
in social media have been talking about Karishma and her game, and some even thought that she was getting the winner's edit, that it was all turning around for her.
That's why
But
I don't
really, it was
look at the
you got
internet.
to see you got to see exactly what was going down there with Dan's comment, like you said.
Okay.
They wanted
And-
to mutually agree, no goat.
Okay, so
She's just that good of a goat, I think.
Janet got a boost from seeing John, and Tommy felt all the love and warmth from home. And these four are in a tight alliance. That's what we gather. And they have Noura in their back pocket. And they think Noura will be more trustworthy than Dean Lee.
What did you think about Nora's big rant?
Boy, that was something else.
She keeps getting these these rant montages.
I give them
right?
credit for even listening.
Well, they were all laying down.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think Dean actually went to sleep.
Was dozing off. Yeah, it did look like
I
that.
think he did. He just at some point just heard blah 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 blah.
Yeah. The Charlie Brown
It's like
teacher.
white noise.
Wah, 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 wah. Yeah.
Though I hope he didn't snore because she might have hit it. But Elaine tried to keep her on track by telling her, "You're getting a little sidetracked," which I'm sure made no impression on Noura whatsoever. She just kept going.
Yep.
They blindsided her, and she was furious. I didn't know she was smoldering. She didn't show it the way Karishma did in front of Jeff.
Yeah.
But she looked like, whoa, she was just smoldering inside, just waiting for all this to come out. So
Yeah, Karishma was loving that. She in her confessional, she said, "This is wonderful."
And she had
Nora
told us
go off.
Karishma didn't do anything around camp. Now she's saying Lauren doesn't do anything either.
Yeah.
And she just went on and on and on.
Dean
And,
says it's music to his ears, too.
Yeah, and Dean thinks Lauren's a big threat. So he'd rather get Lauren out than Tommy. And Dean figured by the selections they took that Dan and Tommy are not planning to take him to the finals.
Dean has a really interesting arc in this episode in terms of how he's thinking about things, what we get to see about how he's making his decisions on what he wants to do strategically, and then, of course, how it all plays out in the end. He's kind of all over the place, isn't he?
Yeah, but then
I think there's a defining reason for that, though.
Yes, it's
Right.
because someone else is all over the place.
Yeah.
If they could trust in Noura and what she would do, I think they would have just gone, yeah, this is it, we're doing it. But I did like that they all went out and searched for an idol.
Yes, yeah, that Dean talked about that. He planted that seed, and that we need we need that advantage. So let's leverage this time to do that.
And Karishma tells them what to look for.
I liked how Noura picked up on that too, and she was telling them, I have to go look this up. I haven't checked yet, but she talked about the reticular activating system, and that you didn't hear that part.
Mm-mm.
She was basically saying, after Karishma explained that it was blue, she said, focus on the blue. Say blue, blue, blue over and over again. Look at this color. Now your brain is going to be tuned to search for that. Yeah, so that's interesting. I may be a sucker, but I am going to go research that and see if that's actually got some merit. But it did seem to pay off for Elaine, huh?
It sounds reasonable to me.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I think Noura usually sounds reasonable, but that does actually. So, okay. Well, and who finds it but Miss Elaine, our USB,
Mm-hmm.
that everybody seems to want to get out.
Sitting in a tree, pretty as can be, she tells us.
Yep. So now
Another
she's
moment of
got it.
lucidity that they share from Noura. She tells us in her confessional that she realizes the biggest obstacle in her life is herself.
I'm sure that's true.
The story we've been given by way of the edit seems to suggest that, yes, there's quite a bit of truth there.
Yeah. Well, I won't jump ahead, so we'd best move along to the immunity challenge.
It's day 32, time for the immunity challenge, and that came pretty much at the halfway mark of the episode.
Yeah, Jeff takes the necklace back from Noura and describes the challenge.
So they got to stand on a block of wood and balance on basically one foot. Yeah, it looks like it's okay
Ow.
for you to rest your other foot on top of that foot, but there's really only enough room for one foot down. And then they've got to take and press a bar against a ball to keep it in place against a small plank of wood there. So
Now,
it's another endurance challenge.
the people you think could last the longest went out first. You had Dean, Tommy, Noura.
I thought Noura
1, 2,
again would
3.
have a shot at this given her ability to concentrate, but she was definitely off her game on these 2 days.
Then you had Janet and Karishma.
Janet fell and busted her toe up.
Oh, yeah, that looked bad.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if it took the nail off or it was just the skin on top of her big
it looked
toe.
like the skin on the side of her toe to me.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think she probably had to see medical for that.
Karishma went out after Janet.
And then Dan, and then we're down to Lauren and Elaine, who I didn't think had a chance.
I didn't really think about Elaine when we
I
saw
had
the challenge.
well, they're short and this and that. So I had said, well, because they're closer to the ground, they might be more centered. But then we just discounted it and went on. Mm-hmm. But hey,
so
they
it was
were the last two.
It was quite the display by Lauren. She tells everyone how committed she is. She wants that necklace, and Dan keeps cheering. Well, he cheered Lauren and Elaine on, but he seemed like he was talking to Lauren. Keep fighting, keep fighting. He said, focus.
Don't take your eyes off.
And Lauren ends up in a big struggle. She ends up crying as a part of it. So it's this big dramatic moment for her, and she gets the wobbles and saves it. But I knew something was wrong when they cut over to Elaine one time, and you could tell that it was off center a little bit, where she had the pressure applied to the ball and then to the piece of wood. And I thought, wow, that's more precarious. Lauren's is at least centered, even though she's having all these other difficulties.
Boy, her arms were... I'm surprised she held it on there with her arms shaking like that. Mm-hmm. That surprised me. But Lauren wins immunity.
Tommy tells us in the confessional before they go to the commercial that there's an easy target on Karishma tonight.
Well, since I had Lauren safe, I was happy to see her win the immunity.
Yeah, there was a little bit of tension on your part prior to that.
I've been losing safe points every week lately, so I managed to not lose
You got a little squirmy over there when she became a target. Yeah.
I said, no, I'd rather target Tommy because you had him safe.
Yes. Her preference is always for me to take the hit.
That's right. For Stacey. Well, you are 3 points ahead of me, so you should take the hit, not me.
I see.
You're right. So now I thought, okay, that sounds too easy. They can get that done, checked off their list, get Karishma out, which they actually did do. So
what had you envisioned that was causing you so much grief while you were watching? Who did you have going?
I had Noura going. However, I had Karishma going right up until about 2 hours before when I looked at the roster again and pondered
had an idea.
My options and thought, if Noura doesn't win this one, they'd be crazy not to get rid of her. She's won too many immunities. I think they might get rid of her.
Yeah, reasonable to think.
Reasonable. Nothing ever happens like I think it will in my head, but anyway, I decided to take the chance. Once again, even saying out loud to myself, you may regret this just like you did last week when you didn't go along and do what you said you were going to do. And vote out the most likely person. But I changed it, and I had Dan safe. And for some reason, I was getting a weird vibe about that. Maybe I shouldn't have Dan safe. Well, Dan could. And so I changed Dan. I stopped Dan being safe and changed it to Lauren. So then when they targeted Lauren, I was like, oh, no.
Yeah, you were on the roller coaster this time.
I know. I was like, oh, geez.
Okay, they're back at camp there on day 32. And Lauren tells us that she has dreamed of this since she was 11 years old. First started watching Survivor.
Yep, for 18 years, I think she said. Even though she doesn't think she needs it.
Right.
Yeah, she really doesn't. But because she's in a good alliance, so she's fine.
Right.
I thought,
So they pulled together a plan to split the votes. 4 votes on Karishma, 3 votes on Elaine.
And they were going to have Tommy, Dean, Lauren, and who else?
I don't know. You were supposed to write that down.
I did, all but one. It has to be Elaine. Oh, I did write it down. I just wrote it above.
Okay.
Yes, Elaine, Dean, Tommy, and Lauren were supposed to vote for Karishma, and Janet, Noura, and Dan were supposed to vote for Elaine.
But Noura had her big moment earlier where she realized she was being played, and she had seen clearly what her place in the overall scheme of the game was. So she's looking to do something different.
Yep, Noura says this is a big vote, and I just have so much power.
So she goes and tells Elaine and Karishma about how they're planning to split it. And Karishma's thrilled. She says, perfect. We'll just throw all 4 of ours onto Tommy, and we're done with it. And you were ecstatic at this point. You're like, yes, perfect. Stacy will lose a safe point.
And I won't.
This is exactly how it needs to go.
Yep.
That's what I get to hear while we're watching.
Be like, all right. Oh, not like you don't come back at me about. It's the same way.
No.
You're back and forth too.
No, not like that.
Oh,
I don't wish you well.
right.
I actually went for the high five on mine, and you were like, no, I'm not high fiving you.
I high-fived you with my
No, you
notepad.
didn't.
I did too.
That's not the same.
It's all you're getting this week. Okay.
Elaine's worried, though. She said, Tommy's the backup there, but Nora's a Fruit Loop. You just can't count on her.
Well, when she and Dean,
Wow.
she just could not get the numbers worked out in her head.
Supposedly, she's like this in a previous
Accountant.
career. Yeah, she was like the super successful person whose whole deal was based on numbers.
Sorry, I don't.
I'm not buying it now. I'm not.
Even with the leaves, okay, this is me in the middle.
She had
And
like
there's
2 of
4
her.
over here, and there's. I was like, oh my gosh, she really
This
is
is really
struggling
bad.
with this. How?
Yeah.
Whoa.
I love that Dean was just straight with her. She's
No, I'm only
I am
worried about
fine
you.
with Karishma. I'm fine with Elaine. You're the one who actually concerns me. Noura seemed to just take it in stride.
Well, but then they started saying, hey, Nora's a wild card. Maybe we should vote Noura. And I got all excited.
Yeah,
again.
Dan went to Lauren and said, hey, or Lauren went to Dan, rather, and said, Dean and Noura are not here. They're off working on some strategy there. This is when we get the title for the episode, too. After Dean says that Noura scares him, he says, this is a very simple plan, and yet she's struggling with it.
Oy. Well, they probably were gone a long time because she couldn't get it straight
Yeah.
in her head. So,
And Tommy acknowledges that this is a potential problem when they get back together, and he's talking with Janet and Lauren, and Dan says Noura can really mess this up.
that's true.
And Elaine tells us in her quick confessional before we go to tribal council that she's planning a big move tonight.
And I really don't know what Noura would have chosen to do. I mean, who would really know?
Yeah, you're
you?
on to tribal council. She seemed to be going with the plan to take Tommy out to me.
Well, yeah, it appears that way, but I'm still not sure because she couldn't seem to get it straight in her head who was doing what.
Yeah, with a
Noura, all you
someone
have to
who's-
know is your vote.
when you got someone that's that chaotic and they have the ability to focus on some things, but and when it comes to the strategic element of the game, she just seems incapable.
Well, I understand about the lack of food and sleep and, all the exhaustion from the challenge and, that expenditure of energy from being so angry and going on probably took a lot out of her too. And so we know that people get very confused and can't focus well. So we do know that, but that seemed just kind of over the top.
Not unlike us having a little trouble focusing on the tribal council recap here.
We weren't to tribal council yet.
Yeah, we were.
You jumped ahead.
Night 32. And Janet's taking some questions. Did you snort laugh? Janet's taking some questions
That
from
wasn't
Probst.
me.
Oh, it was to you. Yeah,
that was
taking
Zed.
questions from. He's not in the room. Taking questions from Probst about the loved one challenge, and then everything goes sideways. Dean leans over to Tommy and says, "Hey, 3 votes are coming your way," and I'm just not good with that. And then we're off to the races. Everything goes
Yikes.
sideways from there. Even Probst gets a little derailed by the whole multiple side conversations that are going on as we head into a live tribal.
You know what I really liked was Elaine asking Jeff for clarification. on what extrapolate means.
Yeah. Why did you like that?
Just that she wasn't embarrassed to do that.
Yeah.
A lot of people would have been embarrassed that they didn't know what the word meant. And I thought,
Always
I
ask.
respect that.
Yeah.
I like that a
Always
lot.
asks. Yeah.
You go, girl.
You don't know where you're standing in the conversation if you let something like that get past you.
Exactly. So it's
Yeah.
better to know.
Yep.
And you don't have to feel bad because you don't know what a word means.
Nope.
Or how to pronounce it because, that's usually me.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm good with that.
We missed that. We missed Tommy's bone apple tea when we were doing the recap. He said Noura was spare of the moment instead of spur of the moment.
Yeah, spare of the moment.
Yeah, she's so spare of the moment. I had to rewind that a couple times and
He
listen
did
to it.
say spare.
Yeah.
We're like, no,
That's
he
great.
must have slurred spur.
Nope,
Spur
I
of
don't
the
think so. There's a subreddit called Bone Apple Tea instead of the French Bon Appetit. It's bone, Bone, apple, Apple, and then tea, Tea, right?
Got it.
Yeah, and it's just full of stuff like that. So spare the moment. And you think about it, you go, well, yeah, it could kind of be right, huh?
And you tickle yourself.
Yes, it did tickle me.
Okay.
Speaking of not being able to stay focused on the tribal
And
council
I
recap.
do like it that Elaine turns to Tommy and said, I'm not going for you, Tommy.
I think maybe that.
Sounds kind of like what Missy said. Well, why are you coming after me?
Yeah, except she still got plausible deniability there. Missy
didn't.
Yeah,
No,
didn't.
But
I think that conversation before tribal between Dean and Elaine, where they were talking about how they just couldn't count on Noura, that probably just started working on Dean. Because, like I was talking about earlier, there's just a real interesting arc with him thinking through things, and then you see him basically blow up the plan right at the beginning of tribal council.
Well, and we know we don't get to hear everything, so who knows what Noura had said or something could have set him off. But, hey, she doesn't hesitate to tell all. I mean, flat out. Well, those three are voting for Tommy, and Elaine has an idol. There you go.
Yeah, she just wanted to blow the whole thing up, huh?
It's like, well, okay.
And it seemed like it might have been working for her at first, but Lauren and some of the others weren't going to let go of it. So what was the plan, Noura? And Noura does the classic thing that when you get caught, she just repeats back.
Well, Lauren was like, were you ever considering it? She's like, well, when they mention you consider it. The answer
Fair
should have
enough.
been no, never. Not even for a second. It's like, come on, Noura. You can lie better than that.
I think Tommy locked onto it, though. He wasn't going to let go, neither was Lauren. He told her, Dean saved me.
And Karishma's really trying to throw her under the bus
And Noura-
to save herself.
Yeah,
She's like,
10 minutes
Tommy,
before tribal, she was with us. Yeah.
She was absolutely
All
with
day
us.
long.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Karishma's admitting, yeah, we were voting for you,
Mm-hmm.
and she was with us. So vote her out, not me.
Janet went to Karishma and secured that vote for Noura
Yeah,
so that they could at least know.
where the votes were going,
Yeah.
or at least reasonably.
It seemed like they reconstructed it a little bit on the fly there, right?
Well, but it ended up being what they said to start with.
Mm-hmm.
They went back to the original plan.
Yeah.
It's like,
In terms of the majority of them going towards Karishma.
yeah.
I like how Dan had to get clear. He had the presence of mind to clarify with Tommy because Tommy was talking about taking Noura out next.
He
And
seemed clueless too.
Dan said, now or next tribal? Be clear on what you're saying. So I know exactly what we're doing here.
Yep. And Noura kept trying to throw Dean under the bus, but it
Don't look at pretty
wasn't
Dean.
working.
Don't look at his
Don't
pretty
look at
face.
that pretty boy.
We got
That was cute.
Missy over in the jury doing a Michaela. She was enjoying her fake popcorn there while she was watching all this go down.
So Dean's already trying to do a little damage control with Elaine, saying, I knew we couldn't trust her.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it.
That's why
That's
I
why I
thought
did
maybe their earlier conversation on how erratic Noura was probably had just been continued to work on him, and then he just abandoned the counter plan.
Well, but Dean still threw Elaine under the bus along with Karishma and Noura. He said those three were voting for you. I wasn't going to do it, but those three were.
Oh, yeah, right.
So
when
he threw
explained
her
that,
under the bus.
when he explained that in the beginning, yeah.
So,
I'm not so sure how coherent he was during this, and Kelly seemed to think something along the same lines. We see her saying over in the jury, these are not smart players, something to that effect.
well, I think he just felt trapped, and he thought the only way for him to save himself in the game was to connect with Tommy, give Tommy something, because he didn't trust Noura, and without Nora's vote, they were outnumbered anyway. So
Right.
he's going to try to gain favor with Tommy.
Now, what did you think when Elaine played her idol?
I thought that was smart.
Yeah,
'Cause-
it's just like with Lauren in the previous week after she saw Karishma play one, and Elaine knew that there was a plan with her name being written down at one point. So you can say it's wasted in hindsight, but I think in the moment, the insurance is worth way, way more.
Yeah.
And we've
Yeah,
got
I
3
agree.
examples that have already been voted out of the game holding idols. If you want to see why it makes sense to do
Well,
that.
and she found it once. She couldn't go back and look again. Play it, and like Rob told her, just make a move. Don't hold out. So she did, and I think that was smart for her, because they could have still split the votes, Karishma and Elaine. Now they just switched Elaine. The 3 that were voting for Elaine were now voting Noura. That was the only difference. But Dan, Janet, and Karishma voted for Noura, and everybody else voted for Karishma.
Dan was celebrating in the back row there. Did you see that?
Yeah.
I think Boston Rob summed it up pretty well. All that talk just to vote
Vote
out
out
Karishma. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's kind of how I ended up feeling too. I felt kind of cheated because
I'm sure
I
you
was
did. You had a different
certain-
outcome in mind.
was certain I had that point. Going into the vote, I was certain
Yeah.
I was getting a vote off.
I even made a note to that
And they
effect.
blindsided me again. Yeah, I knew you'd bring that up. I was like, are you kidding me? They gave me all this hope, and then they snatched it away again.
That's why I didn't get the
It
high
was
five.
very much that. Well, of course, you wanted a high five in that second. You wanted a high five, and I went, excuse
We
me, I'm not
celebrate yours.
high-fiving my loss of point here.
It wasn't about your loss.
It was about my loss in
It was
that
my
moment.
full point gain.
I didn't care about that. Let's be real.
So I think we enjoyed the episode overall. I'm not quite sure where Dean's coming from in the end.
Yeah.
He looks
either.
almost as erratic as Noura in some sense.
Yeah.
I don't, in terms of earning himself some referenceable points in a potential final tribal council, this doesn't seem to be the place where it's going to deliver, other than he could get a vote from Tommy.
And Noura is still in the game.
Well, one at a time, but yes.
Yikes. Alrighty then. We'll get to hear more of Nora's thoughts next week.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say about this episode, other than your disappointment with the outcome?
Actually, I'm not that disappointed, other than, I made poor choices once again, but whatever.
Telling you, if
It's
you
just points.
listener feedback show, it's been
This
working for me.
season is not over.
Nope, not yet.
Still a lot of points to be had.
Yeah,
You don't know where
just
I
a
might
few
end
weeks
up.
though. Yeah, that's
2
true.
weeks to be exact, not a few.
Yeah.
2.
Yeah,
Next week and the week after.
there we are.
So, okay. Wow. Next on Survivor.
People are spinning.
Yep.
Noura
Nora's head
appears
spinning.
appears to have been given a clue as to what the challenge
she had
was.
to have gone to Island
right?
of the Idols,
That
right?
was our conclusion.
Or they sent tree mail that said,
yeah. And then-
practice spinning.
And since it's Noura spinning in a circle, they thought, yeah, we'll showcase her.
Okay. Well, we thought maybe she got a clue at Island of the Idols, but who knows? Elaine tells us once again that Noura is a basket case, but who doesn't love a crazy woman?
Okay.
Well, I guess some people obviously do.
And so there's going to be another challenge. They've got to wear a spool of rope around their waist and spin around and round to unravel
Is that what that is?
so they can get through the course.
Oh.
Yeah, for that challenge.
I didn't know why they were
And
spinning.
it's gonna make them dizzy as they unwind the rope by spinning around in circles as they try to move down the course.
Well,
We see Dan and Elaine both falling over because they're so dizzy.
yeah, I do not do well with that.
Okay, the next sequence we get on Next Time on Survivor, we see Tommy talking to Lauren, and he says, "No one's coming for you, and they can't." And then cut to just Tommy in a solo confessional there, and he says, "I need her out of this game, or she's going to win." Now, is he talking about Lauren?
Or Elaine.
Possibly Elaine, yeah.
I don't think it's Noura.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's Janet.
No, and I don't think it's Janet. So I
It's
think
between Elaine and Lauren.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now they make you think he's
It's
talking
Lauren,
about Lauren.
Because he was just talking to her, just the
Yes,
adjacency
but
of the
it
clip.
could just as easily be talking about Elaine.
Mm-hmm.
Because she is so likable, and they've said that over and over about her, is that she could win.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's just so likable.
Yep.
I'm just curious how, because I don't believe we've been shown enough information to know exactly how everyone perceives Lauren and Tommy's relationship. And who's calling the shots there? Are they doing it together? Does one person usually gets more credit than the other?
Mm-hmm.
So which person's getting more credit? Is it Tommy or is it Lauren?
I'm sure it depends on who you talk to, but I'm going to lean the balance towards Lauren.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And yet we've seen more people go to Tommy.
Uh-huh. Have discussions with him, sure.
But we have seen Lauren kind of saying what was going to happen, or we should do this, or she's usually laying in the hammock.
Okay.
And people are coming and she's, "Oh, we need to do this," or "Dan, go over there and tell them this, and go do this and go do this."
Is that her Godfather moment? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. But obviously Dan still thinks they might try to get rid of him since he wanted Charisma out mostly for that reason, because she would be the perfect goat to take to the end.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants to be that goat, I guess.
He's not thinking of himself as a goat. I can guarantee that.
No, I don't think he is either. But and
He just wants an even playing field. He doesn't want there to be a goat.
yeah,
And that you can tell it's something they've spent some time talking about and agreeing on.
Yep. Well, I really did kind of think Dean.
You managed to merge Dean and Dan.
Dean was in with Dan and Janet, and so I thought he was maybe tighter than Noura with them. I thought that's why they were pulling him in, but Janet didn't seem to think so. She thought Noura was firmly with them, but I bet she doesn't anymore, because you can't trust Noura not to just blurt things out.
Yeah. Speaking her truth, as she says.
Well, and everyone else is too.
Who do you think will find the next idol? Because they'll replant, right? So there's time left. We'll get another
Oh,
one
I
out
hope
there.
it's Elaine.
Yeah.
Save my girl.
And she's with Karishma gone, although Karishma did explain to Noura and Dean and Elaine what to look for. Elaine's the only one with the experience of finding one. So
Yeah.
she may have a slight advantage in that regard.
Maybe. Though if Dean and Noura are smart, hello, what am I saying? They wouldn't share that information with anyone else.
You're right. But again, like
They
you said,
should
Noura.
be looking themselves.
Mhm.
So I'm assuming they will. Actually, everyone should be. But anyway, it feels like if they decide to keep Noura around, you'd think she would be the next on the hit list, but they could keep her around and get rid of Elaine first. They were so focused on Charisma, even
Yeah.
though there were people that
But there's a big difference.
bigger threats.
Those are different types of threats. Elaine's a social threat. Karishma was just the threat of her utility as a goat, not getting any votes.
well, if it got her to the end, I doubt she would care. She gets
It
a lot more
depends on-
money that way.
True. Depends on what your objective is.
Yep. to
We've
get to the
certainly
final
seen
three.
we've seen people end up in the final three and to get no votes, and which roughly one payout schedule that's been out there for years and years says that second place gets 100,000, third place gets 85. So
Yeah. So, do you think they're just going to see Noura once it all blows over? They're just going to see her as harmless because they won't make the mistake of.
the thing that's going on is that they're constantly having to run risk assessments. Who's the bigger threat to our end game, or who's the most immediate threat? And even though Noura represents this element that you can't count on, that
They don't need her.
So just that chaos portion of it. There've been other threats that they wanted to focus on, like they were trying to finish and follow through on Karishma.
Yeah,
just
but
like we were talking about in the last listener feedback
She's
show.
in some respects disarmed now because no one trusts her to follow through with anything she says, and so no one's going to
Even
be
more,
making deals.
because that's been
even
around for a
more.
while.
Even more so, yes. And they don't
This is about
need
day
her.
2.
If the other 4 stay tight, they don't need Noura. There's nothing that they can do to break
I think
in.
to manage your game the best way possible, you need to be cultivating connections with everyone. You need to keep an open door for everyone.
Yes, I agree.
And for that reason, this is why I say you always want to get out chaos agents like Noura early on, because you want to have some sense of what you're working with. Not, I can't trust this person at all, and
Well-
that she's, that they're just going to be a constant threat to undermine whatever the plan is, because they can't hold the plan in their head or whatever's going on.
Well, there's always a possibility that Dan and Tommy are planning to take Lauren and Janet out after Elaine.
Mm-hmm.
And that Dean would certainly be a lesser threat in the final 3.
Right? Yeah.
He'd make a good goat, though he doesn't know it.
Right.
And I think Tommy believes he can beat Dan. We obviously think he could too, but Dan may not.
The biggest goat is out now. The second biggest goat is still there. That's Noura. And then you got another high, like you said, potential goat in Dean.
Total goat.
And I can't help but think that Dan is in that category from a social aspect of the game perspective, that the jury's going to have a hard time there with him. But that could just be because of everything that happened at the merge and our perspective, the particular filter that we got to view it all through.
Well, I guess
Maybe he's not perceived that way by the others.
I wonder if Dan and Janet, I think if they were playing a smart game, they would at some point try to use some of the goats to turn on Tommy and
Lauren, yeah.
Lauren. I think that would be their best shot. And I don't think I would trust Noura. I don't think getting rid of Noura would be a bad idea, but I do think Elaine is more dangerous.
You have a really hard time planning and executing as long as Nora's in the game. Everything is harder. It's more difficult, and as your body slows down even more as you get closer to day 39,
She just takes too much energy to deal with.
Huge tax. It's just a gigantic tax.
It's just not one I can
on
pay.
your game to have to interact with Noura, given that erratic behavior.
I can be very patient, but I'm afraid lack of sleep, lack
At that
of
point,
food, all of that.
No, that goes pretty quick for you, actually.
Yeah. Hey.
Speaking the truth.
Yeah. Well, it's true. I'm not as patient. I used to be extremely patient.
Uh-huh.
But the older I get, the less patient I get.
Yeah.
It's true. You never were patient, so
You're
can't
right.
say anything.
I'm not offering anything
I was
there.
always patient before, but you've rubbed off on me all these years.
Yes, it must be me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Way to own it.
Hey, even you have said that. You always used to, I'm afraid I've rubbed off on you. You used to be, but, go
Sweeter.
in love and light and sweet. And now you're like me, yelling at the traffic.
That's true.
Yeah. Anyway, we digress.
How about a JSFL update?
We should do that since we can't stay on topic. All right, JSFL. Dina, congratulations, is still in first place with 49 points. There are 3 people lost their USB this week. 86 people lost a safe point. 131 people gained a vote off point. Not me.
Me.
Side challengers with 47 points, Justin and Randy are tied for first. With 46 points, Stacy. 45, Jonathan and Rebecca. 44, Cold Mike and Slappy. With 43, we have Brandon, Carl, Jeremiah, and Parker. With 42 points, Carolyn and Jay Kindred. With 41 points, Jack. And with 39 points in the bottom, Chris, Drew, James, and Shannon.
Filling up down there again. James and Shannon were solo for a while.
Don't like to be alone.
Is that it? They're grouping together down there? Okay. Share the pain. Good deal. Well, we're looking forward to hearing what you thought about this episode and what predictions you have for who's going to find the idol and how these alliances are going to play out. Who do you think is going to get voted out next? All that good stuff. Voicemail number is 206-350-1547. Toll free 844-643-8737. Email Joanne and Stacy Show at Gmail. You can write it up and send it in, and we'll read it into the show for you, or you can record your own. That gives you the most control over the content and possibly the best quality. Remember not to have the mic too close to your mouth. You don't want to be popping your plosives right into the mic, although I can run a high-pass filter to help deal with some of that.
Why did you not say gmail.com?
Oh, I didn't? I thought I did.
You did?
Okay, good catch. Joanne and Stacy Show at gmail.com.
Stop it at Gmail.
Well, I got this sort of banter that I'm doing to get all the things out.
I couldn't get past that.
Okay.
It's like, why didn't he do that?
All right. Well, good catch. In any case, we're looking forward to hearing what you thought about this episode and what we can expect next, and maybe any take on the events that were here from your particular walk on life. Maybe you saw things in a different way than we did. Probably you can focus better than us.
Yeah, well, we will try to get good sleep before Saturday.
Yes, so that we won't be in normal mode.
Normal?
Mm-hmm. Anything else?
We'll talk more on Saturday.
All right. Keep it in that 3-minute range. We look forward to hearing from you. Have a good one.